Hello everybody. This channel was never intended to be like a straight up haul and unboxing channel, but it might be one for a little while because I've got something fun coming up for the holidays that I'll talk about later if I remember. Hopefully I remember. And because I keep finding cool things in the flea markets right now. Thank you, Sassy. You gonna munch on the plastic? We used to have a kitty cat that actually ate the plastic. Now we only have ones that like to chew on it. He used to eat it. So we couldn't leave anything with plastic out for even a moment. He had a condition. Anyway, I went out the other day looking for some vintage Christmas goodies in the flea markets because I got into a Christmas crafts mood. And I specifically was looking for little tins actually because I'm planning on making some Christmas journals and fitting them into little tins. I'm not sure that round one, like I have to think about the logistics of that. Still might become something like a journal, but this one in particular, and I like this little house too. I actually found those on eBay because I couldn't find anything I liked in the flea markets. But I did find this bag, vintage sewing is what it's labeled. And I could see some like interesting lace and embellishments in it. So I just went ahead and decided to spring for the grab bag. I have not yet opened it. I figured it'd be fun to do on camera. So I'm gonna move this out of the shot over here. I don't know, might still be in the shot, but I wanna give us some room. So I have zippers. I'm not gonna jump for joy over the zipper. However, this lace will be fun to use because I use that for junk journaling. I also use it for things like gel prints. I'm gonna do some air dry clay printed with lace texture sometime soon. So plenty of good there. There's loose pins, so I'm securing them. There's loose beads in here, little seed beads. They're very cute though. Never a bad thing to have beads as long as you can keep them wrangled somewhere. So I definitely need to wrangle those. Here we've got a little jar we can use to wrangle these beads. This box is in kind of bad shape, but it might be fun to reinforce with some paper and stuff and turn it into something pretty. Oh, I thought there was nothing in here. There are some little handmade charms that are hard to get out. I was going to show them to you, but well, can you see that? Kinda, maybe. It's just a little jump ring filled with glossy accents, and I think I learned that from Crafty by Tony. There's some little shiny maple leaf sequins. Not really something I would work with a lot, but I could definitely find a way to make use of them if I have them. I'm gonna just put the rest of the seed beads in here with those charms. I am not in the mood to deal with it any more than that. All right. Buttons to cover. Oh, cute. So these are buttons specifically made to be covered with fabric. They're little shank buttons. These would be a lot of fun to play with because you could either dye fabric or use some really cool vintage fabric to cover over those. Here we go. This is one of the things that initially caught my eye. It's just a lovely little crocheted, I think crocheted square. That can go in with my other little lacy bits right here. That's where I put all of my super tiny ones. I also saw this I can't entirely tell what it is supposed to be. I think it's just a string of white beads. And little pink beads. Not really excited by these beads all that much, if I'm honest, but you just never know when something like that might come in handy. Bias tape, always handy. More lace. I pull these pins out. I really don't want just a bunch of pins all over the place. So, little blue lace. More buttons. These ones are kind of fun. I don't know what this is. A tiny plastic bin with tiny plastic bins. These are great for organizing tiny things. And then there's whatever these, some sort of fasteners are. And what looks like more of the coverable buttons, because they have the same little base down there. So work to identify that stuff. Haha, I was just talking about jump rings. So these are fun to use. They're good if you're, you know, creating any sort of like, you know, beaded charms or other things. But you can also turn them into little, little charms, little resin type, I don't know what I'm trying to say. You can use them for embellishments in different ways. How about that? That is a semi-coherent way to explain what I was trying to explain. This bag has collected some of the seed beads somehow. Needles. Can use needles. I probably have enough for a lifetime, given that they don't really go bad, but it's not the end of the world to have some needles. I love a snap. Those could be fun for journal closures. I have snaps, but I like a snap. Oh, I'm losing a couple of these beads. They're going rogue. Okay. There's two more here, and this teeny tiny sequin. It's gonna go with the beads. Get the plastic out of the way. More embellishment. It's weird. Both of these are weird, but I kind of love them. Like, this cord will be interesting to use on something, and I really like this trim, which is not normally something that I would guess I would be excited about, but yeah, I really like this trim. So, very excited about that. All right. Looks like more bias tape. Get rid of all these pins. I know they keep them on the card, but I don't like that. Plus then they rust and they create little rust spots, and I guess that's good from like a grungy, vintagey standpoint, but it's just not necessary. Seam binding, lace seam binding says, it's like pretty underwear. Stretchable, color fast. Okie dokie. We have a bunch more of the pink plastic beads, and then some coordinating little like wishbone or triad beads of some sort. I can't talk today. Aren't you glad you're listening to me? Old thread does nothing for me. I had read somewhere that it does break easier over time, which makes sense to me. And I don't feel a great need. If it was on some really cool spools, I might feel a little bit differently. This spool's kind of interesting. But yeah, didn't buy it for the thread. Not super pumped about the thread. More needles. But these are embroidery needles. And these I would use a little bit more. And what is this in here? Looks like a bit of a, this looks like a bodkin almost. I think that's essentially what it is. Yeah, I'm not mad at the embroidery needles. Those I feel like I tend to lose somehow, and I'm really not sure how. More weird beads, these little clear ones, and these are different than the white ones we've got. These are a little bit more like a fake pearl. Ooh. I have seen, I think also Crafty by Tony, use these as like butterfly and moth antennas at one point, and that was really cool. There's some fun sort of art junk journaling applications for these that I can imagine, so that's nice. That's like, some of these are the kinds of things that like I wouldn't go out and seek in a craft store, but if they're given to me, I would happily make use of, and that's kind of what I like when I get little grab bag type things like this, is getting stuff that I wouldn't normally buy, all at a bit of a, you know, discount, because there's like some of these laces I'd have paid decent money for, potentially, like this gold trim in particular, this white lace down here, I'd have paid like $1 or $2 for, and then in this little beautiful little doily thing. So that's always fun. And now I can put all of my little needles in this tiny little pin cushion that has this little safety pin on it, and I can kind of imagine dressing this guy up somehow, although you do not want to be stuck with needles all that much, which seems like, you know, not great for a pin cushion. Yeah, it does not want to accept needles. It's cracking me up. Okay, maybe we turn this into a cat toy, because it does not want needles in it. I'm not saying, I mean, they definitely succeeded in putting a couple needles in it, but yeah, not great. Come on, I can't get this needle out. I'm not giving you to a cat until needles are all gone. It is rusted in there. Okay. See later if I can save it. This is a little container that used to contain a zipper, a trouble-free zipper, 12 inches. And these are needles. So many needles, man. Ballpoint needles. That would be good for sewing stretchy fabric. Gold eye betweens for quilting. These are more embroidery needles. They're small ones. Okay, little container. Kind of digging these mucky old vintage containers more than I would have expected to. Here we've got another little handmade piece of like needlework, crochet, something that I am happy to have. Oops, seed bead. They all got loose in the big bag. And I do like rickrack. I don't know that I've seen rickrack quite this tiny in recent times. But that will be fun to play with. And this light blue lace. Nothing fancy, still fun to use. Sequin. What is this? Oh, they're like some sort of jewelry finding. Okay. Fun to play with. More weird beads. Seed and otherwise. Fun. Some chocolate lace. Ooh. That's the sound of more beads on my glass mat. I really like these little squares. This giant ring, like giant jump ring type of thing. is oddly cool. More brown lace and pins and clear beads and teeny tiny little seed beads, and yet another old needle, and fuss with the ones that slid under my glass mat at a different time, because I think I'm gonna be pulling more out, more of the white strings of plastic beads. So at this point, there's a lot of those in there, and another needle. So who doesn't love a loose needle? Just sliding all around. You are, there you are, there you are. We're almost at the end, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna need to do a real assessment, but after all is said and done, would I buy this again? Definitely something I need to think about. Beading needles, that's nice, because I definitely, I only have 2, and I put them with my beads, but like, they're the kind of thing that I can imagine easily replacing. Now I don't have to go buy them. This has also sort of corroded into, but we got it out. We got it out of this little bit of like ribbon. And I'm gonna put you in there as well, kind of. And I have this Singer instruction book, which frankly, this will be fun for art and journal making, just like my other types of old books and stuff are. So I'm actually kind of excited about that. Be fun to use in a project. More grungy old lace, or not lace, thread. Can't find my words. And more needles, cotton darners. I really like the package these ones are in. I can imagine using those for some journal embellishments, just the packages. Okay. I also thought the same when I saw this. Oh, the rubber is like fused to it. Yum. Get rid of that rubber band. There's another bead. Yeah, this old grungy tape measure is kind of fun. I can imagine using that in a project. And then we've got some interesting findings hanging out loose in the bottom, like this silver. Here's a really old, well, I don't think you can call it a thimble if it's hollow, can you? I mean, maybe it's like, I do have a needle point, like embroidery thimble that sits low on my finger that I can use to press the needle into something other than the tips. So maybe it is meant for that. Until I don't do a lot of needlework, my hands don't really afford me that option. I have this weird grungy old tube of beads, some clear beads, and more needles, and this little official guide patch, and some clear beads, and then a bunch of stuff at the bottom. This looks like it goes with that little finding. And I've got these little, are these earrings? Yep. Those pearl cluster earrings. There's 2 of them, which I would probably take apart and use. Oh, this one's on a little grungy 14 karat gold earring, or ear wire. Neat. I don't know. Could clean them up. And then from there, the bag is just full of loose pins and needles and beads. So let's do a review. What would I have potentially paid for individually? Because that'll help me figure out if it's worth it. I'd have gotten this little tape measure. I had 3 little pieces to add to my stash here. Very excited about those. The Singer book, I think I paid like $1 for that. The beading needles, I'm pretty pumped about. This grungy old patch is pretty cool. The old dingy containers, I want to clean up a little bit, but I kind of like them. It's, yeah, I can see, you know, putting varying journal ephemeras and other things in there. Love this guy. I'd have paid like $1 probably for this collection, and probably like $1 for this lace alone. And then a bunch of old beads and old packaging and the covering buttons. Oh, and these little thingies. And I will use the majority of what I found in here eventually. Little things of beads, very handy. I like these little star sequins. I don't know what I would use them for. I'm not generally a sequin person, but like if I'm gonna have sequin shapes handed to me, stars and leaves are pretty good. I like some of the beads in the other things, not these ugly white ones yet. Maybe they'll change my mind down the road. But I don't mind these sort of iridescent-y pearl ones and pearl earrings. So I'm not sure that I would have paid $15 for this if someone had shown me the contents all at once. But I will use the vast majority of the things I have in here, and there's enough things in here that I want that I don't feel too bad about it. So I would call this one a wash. So coming up, starting in December, there's going to be a couple of things. The big one is I got a box, an Advent box from a little Etsy shop called, I think it's 1924 Linens. I'll try to remember to link them, but they sell, well, vintage linens for things like slow stitching, junk journals, and some other cool stuff in there, some hand-dyed stuff. And I really like what she sells in general, so I went ahead and got an Advent box for myself for Christmas. And so that starts tomorrow, the first day of December. So I might like record myself every time I open one of those up, and then put them together in batches. I don't think we need a daily video necessarily, just because I opened a single thing. And then there's also Tracy Fox is doing a like Advent Christmas challenge. And I'm looking forward to watching those videos and probably following along with some of the crafts. So it's possible I'll do a video for some of that stuff, or for some of the Christmas crafts I've been doing. I've been making cards. And by the way, if you wanted to see how I made any of these, I can definitely do a walkthrough for them. So feel free to leave a comment. And these wonderfully ugly cards. They're kind of cute. They're kind of ugly. They're sort of ugly Christmas sweater ugly to me. Like using some of the vintage papers from Tracy Fox's release that they'll be using in the challenge. The papers are gorgeous, but I was cutting them up to make these cute little envelopes, and then I used all of the offcuts to cover. These are the thank you or blank cards that my husband and I got when we got married. So this is what we use to send out all of our thank you cards. I still have so many of them in boxes, And we are not newlyweds. I'm bad, please don't shame me. I forget all the time. It's more than 20 years we've been married. And I still have so many of them, and I just don't need a lot of blank cards. So I covered over them. I've been starting to do that more and more, and transforming them into something else. So yeah, a lot of Christmas crafts, and, you know, working on some Christmas journals that I'll probably list in my shop next year. And then I'd probably go flea market hunting for more Christmas stuff at some point. So there may be additional haul videos from that if I find anything really exciting. But otherwise, this is it. I'm going to start putting away and organizing and cleaning up this mess. Actually, I might just set aside all of the little containers, get those cleaned up, and then start deconstructing things. And honestly, like, these are going to be so fun to use in junk journaling, the backings and stuff. So like I said, I'm going to use pretty much everything in here. Maybe not this, since I can't get this little needle out. I'll grab some pliers and give it one more go. But yeah, I'm not unhappy with this. I'm not as excited as I hoped to be. And that's the thing about these kinds of grab bags. I wasn't going to open it up on the store and sit on the floor and go through it. I mean, I guess I could have. Who would have stopped me? It wasn't sealed, but part of the fun of these things is getting it and then finding out what you got. So thank you for joining me on this adventure. If you have questions, if you're interested in any of the other things I mentioned that might be coming up, please let me know in the comments below. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening to me ramble and going through these weird treasures. And please, you know, if you enjoyed yourself, give it a like, a little thumbs up, hit the bell, subscribe and hit the bell so you can follow along and get notified as new videos come out. And I appreciate you spending some time with me today. Thanks. Bye.